Hello, I'm Panos Kotzathanasis, and this is ASEAN Movie Pulse Interviews. Today I'm here with Max Eigenmann, protagonist of 12 Weeks. How are you, Max?
I'm good. Hi, Panos. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. So to start with the discussion, I'm going to get to a bit further in the past. To tell me a bit, how was the experience of We Will Not Die Tonight? It doesn't seem like the films you usually do, right?
You know, that was actually really, really fun because most of the people from our cast were all originally friends first before we actually watched before we actually filmed the movie. So it was quite an exciting environment for everybody because everybody involved in the film were already friends. You're right. It's something that I usually don't do. I usually do a lot of drama. That was actually my first ever and last so far action film. But it was really fun. I really enjoyed playing that character, and I did my own makeup. It's the only movie that I've done where I actually um, proposed the look of my character to the production and the director, and they approved it. And that was pretty fun. So yeah.
Okay, so is it just fun fighting on camera?
You know what? It's funny that you asked because I find shooting fighting scenes with co-actors more intimate than shooting love scenes, if
Oh,
that
really?
makes sense. Yeah, I mean, they're both very intimate in their own ways, but because there's so much emotion involved into shooting a violent scene, I think it makes it kind of creates this connection between the cast members. So that's quite fun.
Okay, that's great. That's great. And can you tell me a bit about Verdict, a whole other type of movie? It went to the festival circuit, screening in Venice, and so how was that experience?
Yeah, Verdict was another huge adventure for me. I shot that in 2018, and we shot it in a span of, I think, 15 days, if I'm not mistaken. Um, it was a very, very new experience for me to be shooting where we shot the film because we shot the film in depressed areas in the Philippines, and I did a little bit of immersion before doing that. And a lot of people that were casted in the movie were non-actors, so a lot of them were playing themselves, which made the magic, so to speak, of many of the scenes become a lot more authentic than if I think they were played by actors. So that was quite a bit of a very heavy adventure for me that I had to take when I took on that role because it involves motherhood, and I have children of my own, and it's about domestic violence, and it's just something really, really upsetting to discuss, or let alone play a part discussing that kind of character. And you know, it's. I also learned that it's very rampant in the Philippines. Apparently, there are really a lot of domestic violence cases here, and it was just quite lovely and also an honor to be able to be the voice and the representation, so to speak, of many of the women experiencing that here.
And do these films are shown in Philippine cinemas? Do people go to watch them? I mean, the We Will Not Die Tonight and Verdict?
Yeah, they actually did. But you know, I'd have to be honest. A lot of the films that I've done that discuss many of the very more serious matters back home, it's not something that people are excited to watch because it's just too real. And I also wish that I think that at some point I wish that a lot of the masses in the Philippines would be a little bit more educated with film, because a lot of the more serious and a lot of the more realistic topics that are discussed in film, not a, it's not really taken very well by most of the masses. They kind of like, you know, like the slapstick comedy type where they're taken out of the reality of their lives and get to forget for a few hours. But when it comes to kind of really delving deep into what's really happening beyond everything, it is shown in cinemas here, but not a lot of people really appreciate it yet. So I'm hoping that, you know, we will get to that point someday.
You also act a lot on TV. So what would you say are the most major differences between acting on TV and acting on cinema?
Well, the thing about TV is that the environment is very fast paced. Because usually when we shoot soap operas here in the Philippines, a lot of it is going to be airing already in like the next 3 months. So it's very fast paced. There's usually a lot more scenes to be done in a day. And with film, on the other hand, I guess the biggest difference for me is that I'm given a lot more time and more of a chance to explore the character, because not a lot of scenes are put in a day's work. So there's more. I'm also given a lot more freedom to play with the character, represent it on the way I would like. In terms of TV, it's the characters are very straightforward, very very stereotypical. A lot of them are very fun to play, but very stereotypical, very specific. So, and very relatable to most of everybody. Not a lot of complex characters and very fast paced environments. So that's pretty much the biggest difference. But I do really enjoy both. Both experiences is very different, and it's quite fun. Both of them.
You don't prefer one over the other, then?
I like both. Of course, there's really something about doing film because, like I said earlier, I'm given a lot more freedom to go on this adventure with my craft. But I also really like doing TV because that's what kind of gets me more in touch with the Filipino audience.
Okay.
So it's yeah.
And to get to 12 weeks, you just won an award in Cinemalaya for your performance there. Are you proud, happy?
I'm really, really proud of that and extremely happy, of course. Something that I really didn't expect. And it was a wonderful feeling, quite overwhelming because I really wasn't expecting it. So yeah, it's been great.
Okay, so the next question is almost inevitable, but how was it acting with your mother on the film?
Okay, to be honest, all right, this is not actually the first film that I've ever done with my mom. It's actually the fourth.
Oh, really?
The first one the first one we did a horror and we played mother and daughter. The second one, we played the same person. Sorry, this is the third, and then another one. Oh yeah, I'm trying to remember. Fourth, and then mother and daughter again, and then this one, mother and daughter. I think the best thing about this specific production and this specific film that I did with mom is that where we are, where our relationship is as mother and daughter is at its best. So when we did the movie, it was there was this sort of like groove that we had because we really, I mean, it's not uncommon for a mother and daughter to have not gotten along when the daughter is in her younger years, right? So I went through that, of course, with my mom, but with this film, it just so happens that this is the first time in many, many years that my mom and I are really, really in a good place. So that meant a lot more to me, and I think it translated in the film. Of course, there's a little bit of pressure involved because us children, we always want our parents to be proud of us, right? And to be colleagues, to have, to be in the same environment, to have to work together on the same project and have to work on creating the same vision as everybody else together. It gives me a little bit of pressure because I want my mom to be proud of me, right? It's funny because she of course, being a mom never turns off. Like sometimes she'll tell me, your hair is such a mess, you should fix it a bit. Or she'll fix the button of my shirt, like, oh no, you have a little bit of food on your shirt, like stuff like that. So it was fun. It was fun also.
Okay, that sounds fun, really. And so can you tell me a bit about the character you play, Alice? What did you like about the character and you decided to play the particular role?
The thing about Alice, okay, a little backstory about my interpretation of Alice. I feel like Alice is such a go-getter and she knows exactly what she wants. She knows what her goals are. She definitely knows what her priorities are. And something happens in her life, which is her finding out that she's pregnant, and she now has to second guess and reevaluate all the decisions she's made in her life because of something that she suddenly has to be responsible for. and that's what I like about Alice also, is because she's a very confident person. She knows what she wants and all that, but she's not very impulsive because she did give it a lot of thought on how she wants to go through these processes happening in her life. What made me want to play the part really well, I mean, really badly, was because the roles were being offered to both me and my mom. And I thought that to have another chance to do a movie with her where we are in our lives right now would be such a wonderful adventure. But it's also the character itself. Alice's personality, based on how direct Anna Isabella Matutina described her, is that all of her struggles are internal. So she's not a very expressive person. She keeps everything inside. And that is the complete opposite of what kind of person I am.
Mhm.
And I am the type of person where a lot of my expressions are very seen in my face. I speak very, very vocally about what I'm feeling or all that. So the character background of Alice, knowing that everything was internal, was something that I wanted to challenge myself to do.
Mhm.
And I think I guess it's safe to say that I did an okay job, right?
Yes, I guess so. I guess so. But do you like Alice as a person? Would you hang out with her, let's say?
If it were in real life,
Yes.
I think Alice is a little bit uptight,
Mhm.
but she's very organized, and I like that about her. So I actually would. She's also, you know, a good friend and stuff. And to be honest, Alice's personality, I had two people that I had in mind on who I wanted to imbibe when I played her.
Mhm.
One of which is my mom, because my mom's personality is very much like Alice. Like, she's the quiet type. Everything is, her struggles are inside. She won't tell you if she's um feeling down. She won't tell you if she's struggling with something. She's the type of person to figure everything out on her own. My mom's like that, and so is my best friend.
Oh, really?
So I am attracted to people who are opposite of me, because I think it puts a little bit of balance, because I'm so extroverted and emotional and sometimes a little bit dramatic. I mean, I guess that's why I became an actor, right?
Yeah, I guess so. I guess so. Okay, okay. And now what about her relationship with her mother? How would you describe that? Is that realistic? How do you think? I don't know.
Well, in the movie, the relationship of Alice and her mother they were estranged from each other. Alice grew up without her, so she kind of cut her off in her adult life, and I think that's also why Alice struggled a lot with embracing the idea of becoming a mother, because she believes that she didn't really have the best example, and because of that fact, she feels that she wouldn't be capable of being one at all. With regard to my relationship with my mom personally, of course, growing up, I was, you know, I will admit that, I mean, when we're teenagers, right?
Mhm, mhm.
So it wasn't really the best of relationships that I had with her. But when I had children of my own, that's when I started understanding why, you know, she was the way she was, because I'm doing the same thing to my children now. So I
Mhm.
think that after all these years, I'm turning 35 next month, and I would like to think that my relationship with my mother is at its best now more than ever.
Mhm, mhm. And how about her relationship with her friend and colleague, which is a bit strange for me because her friend is Lorna is supportive, but so also she's a bit judgmental. It's a bit strange the relationship we have.
Um, I think that the idea of Lorna um in Alice's life is she is that one person that can tell Alice how it is.
Mhm,
She's the only one that could actually tell Alice when she's not doing something right, when she feels like she's not doing something right. And with a friendship that deep, I think that the judgment factor is off the table.
mhm, mhm,
I mean, of course, it's not uncommon for us to feel judgmental towards our friends, but I think that because the two of them are so close, she's the person that Alice runs to in terms of when she's feeling indecisive about certain decisions, because she knows that Lorna will say it how it is and not sugarcoat anything, because that's how deep their friendship is. Like, I have a lot of friends, but there's only about maybe a handful of them that I know will truly support me on days that I'm in need, and will tell me the truth when I need to hear it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
But do you take it well when they tell you the truth when you need to hear it?
You know what? It really depends on what the truth is. But there are some people where if they told me the same thing as what my close friend would tell me, I wouldn't take it the same way, because my relationship with you is not that deep for you to actually. It would feel more like a judgment and not something out of concern. But hopefully, yeah, I'm getting older, so when as we get older, it gets a little bit easier to kind of take these things in a way where we think about and look internally rather than feel offended by it, right? But if it was something maybe I heard when I was in my youth, I would probably fight them.
Okay, all right. And what about her relationship with her boyfriend? Why doesn't she leave him completely, do you think?
I think that a little bit of that has, because I don't know if I was able to clearly show it and present it in the way I played her, but with every character and every person in Alice's life, she doesn't seem very vulnerable unless she's with Ben. There's something about him that gives her a slight comfort that she can't really understand what it is, even though she needs to get out. It's also her fear, because she's much older, and maybe it's a little bit of a fear of especially with what he said, where he says, "You're already 40. Do you really think that somebody will still like you because you're old?" Maybe there's a little bit of insecurity with that. I think that it all boils down a lot to that, her insecurities about herself, and Ben kind of fills that void, even though a part of her really truly knows that she's much better off. I think that a lot of people have a Ben in their life, or at least in their past, that one person who we know that's just really, really toxic, but it takes just so much of us to get rid of them, whether it's a relationship or a friendship. I think that at one point or another, a lot of people have experienced a Ben in their lives. And I know I have, where I've experienced having trouble letting go of something I know is toxic in my life. So that's something that I was able to relate to in terms of the few things and experiences of Alice when I read the script.
And in the film, I think you are in every scene. I'm not sure if 100%, but you are almost in every scene, and the camera
I was in every scene.
100%. Okay.
It's the first time I've ever done anything like that, and the entire script, every single scene, I'm in it. So I never had any breaks. I've never done a film like that where I am needed in every scene. So it was pretty cool, because the movie is from the point of view of Alice, so she's in every scene. It's pretty cool.
So you enjoyed the fact that you are in every scene, right?
Yeah, well, I enjoyed it because a lot of it's a lot of a bigger challenge for me, right? Because there's so much more work that I have to put into, and I really do love a challenge, especially with my line of work. I always try to do even better than my last film. But it's also very tiring, Panos. May I ask how to pronounce your name? Is it Panos?
You pronounce it correctly.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. It's also quite tiring, Panos, like to shoot every single scene that's set for the day, and I have to be in everyone. It's also quite tiring, but because there's so much of it, and because it makes me tired, the fact that I get to finish it after a long day is that much more fulfilling.
So are you going to demand to be in every scene in your future movies from now on?
No, no, not really.
Okay.
But if I'm given another opportunity to play a part where she's expected to be in every scene, I wouldn't mind at all either.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. And also, the movie paints a picture about women in the Philippines, that the society looks patriarchal, let's say, and very conservative. Is that the reality? Is how you feel also?
Actually, it is the reality here. And this is also one of the reasons why I wanted to do this movie, because it's not something that is discussed openly here. This movie is very pro woman, and that's one of the things that I love about it, because it represents a woman going out of her way to to speak her mind, to get what she wants. You know, she kept going against what Gus would tell her, because she knows it's my body. If I tell you that I can fly here, let me fly there and do my job. And that's not, I don't think it's done enough for women to be represented that way, at least in film. And of course, it also discusses the topic of abortion, which is not very, which isn't tolerated at all here. It's actually illegal. But um, more than that, I mean, just because I approve of the idea of it, and if it was legal here, I would be pro it. But more than that, I'm really pro woman. And I didn't do this film just because I wanted people to have the same views as me. But I wish that there were more, um, I wish that they gave a little bit more attention to women's health in this country, because regardless of it being illegal or it being not allowed, I'm pretty sure it's still being done, and not in a very safe manner. Because I mean, of course, here being a Catholic country, um, that's the reason why it's illegal here, because it's frowned upon because of the fact that, I think people believe that it's murder.
Mhm.
But there are so many factors of why a woman or even a young girl could want or have one. Health factors, sexual abuse, um say, aside from unwanted or young teenage pregnancies. Aside from that, there are factors where, say, a lady has health issues and she actually cannot carry the baby to term, because the baby's going through all these maybe congenital defects or something. And it would be a lot wiser and safer if the baby or pregnancy was terminated. There's so many factors, and it all boils down to health. And I just wish that, more attention was given to women's health here.
Mhm.
And more than that, I'm pro woman and pro choice. So that's all. Wow, I said so much stuff.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's nice to hear you talking. You're fun.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. And what is your opinion of the Filipino movie industry at the moment? Would you say there are enough opportunities for actresses?
I actually kind of said a little bit about this earlier, about how I wish that more opportunities were shown for a lot of the independent cinemas. Because, say, for example, Cinemalaya was showing for a week in CCP, and only showing in select cinemas all over the country. What, maybe one cinema, one movie per day. I wish that more access was granted to films like this, so that people, the general masses, get a little bit more educated about the different kinds of films out there. Because I really feel that there's not enough access, which is why a lot of these wonderful films are not appreciated enough here. Back home, it really, that is something that makes me a little bit sad as an actor, because a lot of these independent cinema, a lot of these independent films, which are so beautiful, so well made, all these filmmakers and these small production houses, there's not enough exposure here. It gives me such a sense of pride to actually be talking to you right now. You're from Greece.
Mhm.
You're with the Asian Movie Pulse, and you're interviewing me about my film, and to be carrying my flag and representing my whole country, it makes me feel really proud.
Mhm.
But you're appreciating it. But a lot of people here back home don't. So it's
Mhm.
quite sad. But the movie industry itself, I'm really happy now that a lot more um, attention is given to independent cinema. It's just the access that I wish was granted more for to tap the local audience.
Mhm. Mhm. So, as far as I was checking your social media account, you are rather popular in the country. So that's due to your TV work or your cinema work, would you say?
I'm actually not that popular here.
No? Okay.
Yeah, no. That's more a little bit of both, I think. I haven't really, but I do notice that when you're in TV, when you do a lot of TV, that's when you really tap the local audience because that's what everybody likes to watch. So I had been doing independent cinema for 6 years straight now. And in this last 6 years, I've only done one soap opera, which was last year. It was such a lovely experience. So I think that I want to slowly go back to doing TV again. Because for 6 years, I concentrated on just film. So I think it's time to do. It's. I'm ready to go on new adventures again with TV, and of course, I still want to continue doing films.
Okay. Since you mentioned it, can you tell me a bit more about your future plans? Any upcoming projects?
Actually, for now, there are no. I'm still. Everything is still on the cloud. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, we're still waiting for a lot of confirmation. There's been a lot of opportunities coming, but nothing confirmed and nothing on concrete right now. Because August just finished, and August is a little bit of like a ghost month back home. So now that September is coming up, more projects are going to be coming. But one of the things that I definitely want to do, like short-term goal-wise, is to do more TV again because it's been 6 years, and I think it's time for me to go back.
Okay, and then some money finally, I guess, because independent movie industry.
Now you know what I'm talking about, Panos. Exactly. I just didn't want to say it.
Yeah, but it was obvious, you know.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess that's it. Thank you very much for
Thank
being
you
here.
so much. I had fun talking to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you also. This was
Thank you,
Azan.
Panos. Have a great rest of the day. Bye.
Okay, see you. Bye.